What if I told you that it is possible to multiply your income in record time, even without working more hours, simply by applying a little-known spiritual law? Perhaps that sounds incredible to you, or even impossible, because we grew up believing that more work means more money. But today, you will discover something completely different. The real key to rapid multiplication is not in working harder, but in clearly and decisively putting God first. Yes, what you will hear here may sound strange, but real people like Abraham, Solomon, and even the actor Chris Pratt have clearly experienced it in their lives, proving that this divine law is still active today. Stay with me, because what you will see next will give you an exact method to activate this rapid multiplication of income starting today. Do not forget to subscribe right now, activate the bell, and pay attention until the end, because the fifth step I will reveal later will radically change how you understand your finances, and I assure you, it will surprise you. When we talk about supernatural wealth, most people immediately think of modern millionaires, but very few remember Solomon, who to this day is still recognized as the richest man who has ever existed in all of human history. But do you know what Solomon did to achieve such abundance? He simply put God first in a key decision, thus activating an immediate and extraordinary multiplication of all his riches. When God asked Solomon what he desired, he did not ask for money, nor fame, nor even power. On the contrary, he chose wisdom to correctly guide the people of God, as told in 1 Kings 3 verse 9. This decision revealed something crucial about his heart. He placed God and his purpose above any personal benefit. And this was precisely the act that unlocked a supernatural prosperity in all areas of his life. Something similar occurred with Abraham when he was willing to give up his only son, Isaac. Abraham put God first and received a prosperity so great that even today he is remembered as the father of entire nations. The same happened with Moses, who abandoned the wealth and power of the Egyptian empire and ended up experiencing miracles that few could even imagine. And if these biblical examples seem distant, let me show you how this principle is still working today. You might know the famous actor Chris Pratt, a Hollywood star known for films like Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy. He has been very clear in publicly stating that his prosperity, stability, and financial success are solely due to the fact of putting God first in his life. Pratt explains that every financial and professional decision he makes is guided by biblical principles and that he has never lacked anything. On the contrary, his income has multiplied rapidly in recent years. It is that simple. Putting God first is not just a religious or spiritual act. It is a real, practical, and effective strategy for financial multiplication. This generates in you a mindset capable of seeing opportunities where others do not, causing your income to grow without the need to obsessively chase after money. And the most incredible thing is that this can happen in record time. Now, before we continue, I would love to know where you are watching this video from. Write down below in the comments what city you are joining us from. And pay attention, because this video will show you very powerful principles, but in our book, 10 Biblical Secrets for Financial Freedom and Prosperity, you will discover the final key to take everything you learned today to another level. You can find the link pinned here in the comments. Remember this, placing God first is not a sacrifice. It is a secure investment that always brings supernatural multiplication. What you are about to discover today could be exactly what you were looking for to transform your income quickly and permanently. Many people associate prosperity solely with money, properties, or a nice car. But there is another level of wealth that few understand: invisible prosperity. Moses lived surrounded by luxury and riches in Egypt, and yet he decided to renounce all of that for something greater. What did Moses see that others could not? He chose a spiritual prosperity that was not only invisible but also much more powerful and lasting. The Bible says clearly in Hebrews 11 verse 26 that Moses preferred suffering with the people of God over temporarily enjoying the riches of Egypt because he had his eyes fixed on the reward. And this is exactly how true prosperity works. It does not begin with what you see, but with what God promises. By placing God first, Moses activated a supernatural provision far more powerful than that of any empire. Think about your life right now. You have probably known people who, although they work nonstop, still feel that it is never enough, that they never reach that desired economic freedom. However, other people seem to live in peace, with surprising results, without obsessing over accumulating material goods. What is the difference between them? The answer lies in the daily decision to put God first. Today, we are surrounded by financial temptations, quick investments, digital businesses, cryptocurrencies. And it is not wrong to take advantage of these opportunities, but the key is from where you make those decisions. If you first seek the guidance and direction of God, you will be able to detect opportunities invisible to the majority, exactly as Moses did. When God's direction guides your financial life, you will inevitably prosper. That is why I want to challenge you today to do the same as Moses did. Stop chasing only what your eyes can see and start focusing on the spiritual opportunities that God has reserved for you. Put Him first in every decision and prepare to discover that true prosperity begins in the heart and always ends up manifesting clearly in your material life. One of the most impactful stories about true prosperity and financial multiplication in the Bible is undoubtedly that of Abraham. Imagine this for a moment. Abraham, after waiting for decades for his only son, Isaac, receives the divine command to offer him as a sacrifice, as told in Genesis 22. Do you know what Abraham did? Although this meant giving up what he loved most, he decided to obey and place God first. You might ask, what does this have to do with rapid financial multiplication in your life? Much more than you can imagine. The key here is to understand that Abraham was not simply giving up his son. He was clearly demonstrating who held the first place in his heart. And it was precisely that decision that opened the doors for Abraham to become one of the most prosperous and blessed men in history. Have you heard of Chick-fil-A? This American restaurant chain has surpassed major international competitors despite closing every Sunday to honor God. The reason for its rapid and constant success is no coincidence. They decided from the beginning to clearly put God first. Its founder, Truett Cathy, stated on multiple occasions that his prosperity was due to respecting biblical principles above immediate profit. Perhaps at this very moment, God is also asking you to give up something you love or something you trust in more than Him. It could be a financial security, a business, or even a personal dream. Abraham did not fully understand what was going to happen, but he trusted God completely, surrendering Isaac without conditions or excuses. And that absolute trust was what activated an immediate multiplication of blessings upon him and all his descendants. Can you identify what your Isaac is today? What is that thing you feel that if you give it to God, you will lose everything? Let me tell you something powerful. God does not want to take anything from you, but to abundantly multiply what you have. The secret is to understand that true prosperity comes when God clearly occupies the first place in your decisions and in your economic life. Abraham not only received Isaac back, but God multiplied everything he had in a rapid and impressive way. Genesis 22 verse 17 says clearly that God multiplied his offspring like the stars in the sky and like the sand on the seashore. What seemed like a loss, God transformed into supernatural abundance. This principle has not changed. What you surrender to God always becomes a seed of multiplication. Every time you choose to put Him first in an important financial decision, you not only experience immediate peace, but you begin to live multiplication and abundance in every area of your life. Imagine how your life would change if you applied this principle today. Just like Abraham, your decision can change your financial story forever. Put God first, trust completely, and get ready, because the rapid and supernatural multiplication that Abraham experienced is also available for you right now. Do you know why many Christians still do not experience financial multiplication in their lives? Because although they believe in God, they forget to daily activate a key spiritual principle: divine multiplication. This is not new, but it often goes unnoticed. In the famous story of Jesus multiplying the loaves and fishes in Luke 9 verses 16 to 17, we clearly see how putting God first, even with what seems little, activates miracles of supernatural multiplication. Jesus took just 5 loaves and 2 fish, a small provision that seemed insignificant, offered it to the Father in prayer, and something incredible happened. He fed more than 5,000 people with leftovers. Do you know what this means for your finances? That God can do exactly the same with you if you give Him what you have right now, no matter how small it may seem. There is a very inspiring book called The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson that clearly explains how to ask God for expansion and multiplication in every area of life. Jabez asked with simple faith for God to expand his borders, and God not only answered, but granted him much more than expected, as told in 1 Chronicles 4 verse 10. And this same principle is available for you today, especially in your finances. It is important to understand that multiplying income does not necessarily depend on additional physical effort, but on the correct spiritual activation. When you pray each day, surrendering what you have to God, He supernaturally multiplies your resources, creating fast and unexpected financial opportunities. This can come in the form of innovative ideas, sudden opportunities, or even direct blessings. A friend recently told me that she applied this teaching. She prayed daily for multiplication in her small pastry business, fully believing in what God would do. Surprisingly, in less than a month, she began to receive orders from large companies and for important events without even having done any additional advertising. It was a real and tangible financial multiplication that completely changed her economic situation. Now I ask you, what do you have in your hands today that you could give to God for Him to multiply? It could be your salary, a small business, an idea, or even your time. Whatever it is, put it before God each day in prayer and get ready, because divine multiplication will begin to manifest powerfully in your financial life, and the results will be quick and surprising. Always remember that although it is a principle forgotten by many, divine multiplication is still active for all who decide to put God first. Today, you can activate it and start living the prosperity that God promised for those who believe in Him above all else. We know that life has its challenges, and that is why we want to help you in prayer. If at this moment you are facing any specific financial difficulty or any complicated situation in another area of your life, let us know in the comments what your prayer request is. We will be praying specifically for you. believing together that God can transform your reality and multiply blessings in all areas of your life. One of the biggest and most common mistakes that completely blocks financial multiplication is placing money above God. You might think, but I would never do that. However, it often happens without us even noticing, whenever we let our financial worries control our decisions or when we prioritize an immediate gain over our spiritual principles. Matthew 6 verse 24 says clearly, "No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money." This means something very important. Every time you give absolute priority to money, you are automatically displacing God from His position in your life, thus limiting your ability to experience rapid and supernatural divine multiplication. A clear example we saw recently was in people who obsessively bet on cryptocurrencies and other digital investments, seeking quick gains without seeking adequate spiritual direction. Many of them lost large amounts in record time, not because the market was bad, but because their decisions were completely disconnected from God's guidance. Remember this: money should never occupy the central place in your life. Instead, it should be a powerful tool in your hands to fulfill a higher spiritual purpose. When God is above your money, you automatically activate spiritual principles that allow your economy to multiply faster than you ever imagined. Today, I want to challenge you to identify if at any point, consciously or unconsciously, you have placed your trust in money before God. If the answer is yes, the solution is simple but powerful. Correct this error immediately and clearly tell God that He is your absolute priority, especially in your financial decisions. I assure you that when you make this simple spiritual adjustment, you will begin to experience a comparable financial peace and rapid and surprising results in your economy. Divine multiplication always occurs when God once again occupies the first place, especially over your finances. And to seal this powerful commitment with God, write now in the comments this brief but powerful declaration of faith. God is first in my finances, and I see supernatural multiplication. By doing so, you are taking a concrete step that will activate this reality in your life, rapidly transforming your financial situation. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if your income multiplied without you having to exert more effort, without extra hours, and without feeling that you always have to sacrifice more time with your family. Does it seem impossible? Well, let me tell you something powerful. When you operate under the economy of heaven, that becomes not only possible but completely normal. The Bible says clearly in 2 Corinthians 9 verses 10 to 11 that God is the one who supplies seed to the sower and abundantly multiplies every seed given in faith. This means that even if you sow something small in your finances, God can transform it into something great. You don't need more effort here, just a specific spiritual action to trust completely and place God in the first place. You have surely heard recent stories about digital entrepreneurs or Christian influencers who prospered quickly without necessarily working harder. The difference is that they applied these spiritual principles daily. They put God first, sowed small seeds in faith, and God multiplied their results beyond what was imaginable and in a very short time. The practical key is here. You do not need to add more work to your routine, but to add more faith and trust to your daily financial actions. Something as simple as daily surrendering your financial day to God in prayer immediately activates the supernatural economy, which operates with rules completely different from those of the world. Always remember this: God does not depend on your effort to bless you. He depends on your faith and obedience. That is why today, I want to invite you to start living under this spiritual principle right now to experience rapid and real multiplication in your economic life. Do not expect logical results, because what God does always surpasses any human expectation. Get ready, because when you activate this economy of heaven with faith, you will be opening doors that no one else can open. Supernatural financial multiplication will become a daily part of your life, not because of effort, but simply because you learn to trust fully in the one who can truly multiply everything you place in his hands. Sometimes you feel like you do everything right. You work hard, you try to save, but the doors just don't open as you expected. Does that sound familiar? If so, I have powerful news for you. There is a supernatural provision that God has prepared, but that you may not have activated yet. And this is where a key spiritual decision comes in that totally transforms your economic reality. Supernatural provision does not depend on circumstances or on what you see around you. It depends completely on your spiritual connection with God. Remember how the boxer Manny Pacquiao, known not only for his sporting achievements but for his strong Christian faith, has explained on several occasions that his financial prosperity arose from putting God first, even in his most difficult moments. This decision literally unlocked a provision that was beyond his natural expectations. But perhaps you are wondering, how do I personally activate this supernatural provision in my daily life? The answer is simple and direct. Learn to depend absolutely on God before your own financial or labor capacity. Every time you face a complicated economic situation, pray specifically for supernatural provision and declare in faith that your provision comes directly from heaven. This does not mean you should sit with your arms crossed. It means you should start walking and acting like someone who has already received the divine provision. When you start to live and make decisions based on this radical faith, you unlock something powerful. God responds to your trust by opening unexpected doors, providing resources that seemed impossible, and radically transforming your financial situation. So today, consciously decide to surrender your economic situation to God and trust fully in His supernatural provision. Do not doubt for a moment that He has unlimited resources and is ready to pour them out on you. Get ready, because your life is about to change radically when you understand how the supernatural provision that God has prepared especially for you works. I want to reveal to you now one of the most powerful spiritual principles that exists and that can transform your finances immediately. This principle is so simple that many overlook it, giving thanks in advance. It may seem simple, but when you understand how it works spiritually, I assure you that you will experience rapid multiplication like never before. In Philippians 4 verse 6, the Bible says it clearly, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." In other words, God does not want you to live anxious or worried about your financial situation. On the contrary, He wants you, while you pray, to give thanks in advance because He already has your answer ready. You may have heard about the power of visualization and gratitude in popular books like The Secret or Think and Grow Rich. Although these books have interesting principles, the truth is that this concept is not new. It has been clearly established in the Bible for thousands of years. God already revealed the secret long before, and today you can apply it to experience quick and clear results in your economy. Let me briefly tell you a real story. Recently, a well-known entrepreneur decided to apply exactly this spiritual principle. Every night before sleeping, he gave thanks in advance for contracts and opportunities that he had not yet received. The result? In just a few weeks, contracts began to arrive that far exceeded what he had asked for or imagined. The same can happen to you. The only thing you need to do is start today. Before the day ends, pray, clearly thanking for the financial blessings that God has already prepared. Thank Him for the open doors, for the multiplied resources, and for the economic opportunities that are on their way to you. By doing this, you activate an unstoppable spiritual principle. I want you to understand something very important. When you give thanks in advance, you are acting in true faith, and God always responds powerfully to authentic faith. From today, leave behind financial anxiety and activate this simple but powerful principle right now to experience rapid and real multiplication in your economic life. Now that you know the spiritual law of multiplication and how to activate it in your financial life, I want to remind you of something. God has already prepared the resources, the opportunities, and the provision you need. It only depends on you to act and see it manifest quickly. Perhaps today you feel that there are loose pieces in your economic life, that you lack answers or clear directions to achieve real financial freedom with purpose. That is why in our book, 10 Biblical Secrets for Financial Freedom and Prosperity, we have delved into each of these keys, revealing practical directions from God to unlock a stable, prosperous financial life guided by eternal principles. Do not settle for the information in this video, because what you will learn in the book will take your prosperity to another level. You can find the link pinned in the comments. If this message touched your heart and you feel you need prayer, leave us your request in the comments. We will be praying for each person who needs it, believing together that God will bring transformation in every area of your life. And I want to challenge you to do something more. If you see a comment from someone who needs prayer, take a moment and pray for that person. When we intercede for one another, God activates miracles in our own lives. Before you go, I want you to declare in the comments your commitment to put God first with this phrase. I put God first, and He multiplies my income. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs to learn this truth today. God bless you abundantly.